Tonight on Q2, jars of kindness.
Cheyenne looked up and she could see the flames.
A community rallies behind the family that lost their house in the Short Draw fire. Plus, remembering innocent lives lost.
She was lively and positive and wonderful.
Residents of a Billings retirement community honor a woman and her son who were killed in Friday's crash and the truth behind the tragedy.
They fled immediately. There was no contact, there was no anything. It was just an immediate flee the area.
A timeline unveiled and details of a scary 911 call released leading up to that accident. The MTN 10 o'clock news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday night. I'm Russ Riesinger. Rain and cooler temperatures are on the way through the night and day tomorrow. That may prove to be some good news for firefighters as they continue to make progress on the Short Draw fire, which has burned more than 35,000 acres between Wyoming and Montana. That fire is now about 65% contained. Fire managers say fire lines placed along the east, north, and west perimeters of the fire now. There's still 250 firefighters working on the fire. As of now, the cause of that fire remains unknown. There are more than 60 active fires across Montana, with nearly 20 of those sparking in the last 24 hours. Well, one home and several other structures were lost in the Short Draw wildfire. The family in that house, a couple and their 3 children, losing nearly everything but the clothes on their backs. But now the community and the man's employer are rallying behind them as they look to provide a little hope in this dark time. Our Matt Carmack shows us how simple jars are making a big difference.
Although the Short Draw fire has mostly been contained, the damage is already done. Property has been burned, livestock has been lost, but few are as impacted as Jesse Raymond. Raymond lives on the Wyoming side of the border and lost his entire house due to the fire, now only having his family and the clothes on his back. But rest assured, his small community is coming together to help him and his family throughout these trying times.
It's been a long week for Jesse Raymond, his significant other Cheyenne, and their 3 children.
Yeah, difficult, really emotional, trying to figure everything out.
The Short Draw fire broke out September 11th, about 5 miles outside of his rural home in northern Campbell County, Wyoming, about 10 miles south of the Montana border. They were among the first to have to evacuate.
And Cheyenne looked up and she could see the flames.
Just a few devastating hours later, they lost everything from possessions to photos to their child's ramp they built back in July.
Nothing really came out of it. We couldn't, all the kids' baby pictures we don't have anymore. All the anything you think of, that they got burned down to the blocks.
One thing they do still have, support, especially from his regional manager, Joanne Robertson.
He's not family, but he's family. You know, we'll do anything for him, whatever he needs to get him back on his feet.
His work family at Big D Oil convenience stores helped put Jesse's bunch into a hotel for the next few weeks and started collecting donations from those in the community.
Oh, the whole community came together. It's amazing. It's amazing how much everybody has jumped in to help us.
And to Jesse, it's all about the little things.
One of my boys, Levi, he is a little cowboy, you know, and somebody donated a whole bunch of cowboy shirts. And this morning, he had the biggest smile on his face, tucking that cowboy shirt in, you know.
So even though Jesse and his family are going through a rough patch, his community has his back throughout the entire ride.
You talk about it, but when you actually see it, it's like a totally different wavelength, you know what I mean? Like, it brings everyone closer, and I'm glad that that's happened in my life.
In Billings, Matt Carmack, MTN News.
Things starting to light up on Doppler radar. See quite a bit of thunder and lightning, some heavier rain. If we zoom down just a little bit, we'll also see some areas where, yeah, that is snow falling around Cook City. Here's a little video from there where it's going to start to pile up in areas like Cook City and above, really. It's going to be some fairly heavy rain. Meanwhile, thunderstorms developing tonight through northeastern Montana. A couple of reports. Check out 1.375 inches. So golf ball sized, a little bigger than golf ball sized hail there. A funnel cloud reported over in Roosevelt County, and also had a tree fall down on a car and a fence there around the Poplar area. More on our weather coming up in just a few minutes from now.
Tonight we're learning new details surrounding a deadly crash that tragically took the lives of a mother and her son at a busy Billings intersection. Police say that 32-year-old Ricky Buchanan fled police, crashing his SUV into the vehicle driven by 78-year-old Shirley Rogers and her 54-year-old son Shane on 24th and Broadwater. That crash snarled the intersection for hours and injured 4 other people in another car, including an infant child. Now, 4 days later, Buchanan appeared in court, now facing a $1 million bond for his crimes, pleading not guilty to 8 felony offenses for this crash and the events leading up to it. And we're learning he has a lengthy criminal record. He's currently a fugitive out of Mississippi. Both Shirley and Shane Rogers lived here in Billings. Shirley described to us as a beloved member of the Aspen View retirement community. Tonight, our Haley Monaco begins our team coverage, hearing from those who described her as a positive light, someone who was always smiling.
Shirley Rogers lived here at Aspen View, and on Friday, her son Shane picked her up, something employees say was typical for the duo. Employees also say in Shirley's short time living here, she made a big impact.
She was lively and positive and wonderful.
The dining room is quieter without 78-year-old Shirley Rogers.
Shirley was our piano player.
Although she had only been living at the Aspen View retirement residence for 3 months, she made friends with many.
She was a lovely lady, and we will absolutely miss her.
Including Nilcha McNulty.
She had just gotten out of the hospital and was looking to get her strength back, and so we invited her to exercise, and so she came to exercise class.
Employees of Aspen View say Shirley's son, 54-year-old Shane Rogers, would try to visit his mom daily. She was his top priority. McNulty says when the residents learned of the crash taking Shirley and Shane's lives, it was a shock to them all.
I mean, we're used to people going in the ambulance and all of that, but not when you're vital and out with your son. And so, yeah, everybody sort of can't believe it.
A positive light. McNulty says Shirley Rogers was always smiling.
She will be missed.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Well, that deadly crash that killed Shirley and Shane unfolded because of what Billings police are calling a scary and urgent 911 call. Dispatchers said they could hear screams of abuse coming from inside of Buchanan's SUV from his ex-girlfriend. Tonight, our Charlie Kleps speaks with police about their response to that call.
That crash happened at the intersection of 24th and Broadwater, but it was actually in this area near the intersection of 29th and Broadwater where the incident first started, after police said they received a scary domestic disturbance call. It started just like so many have before.
Officers were dispatched to an open 911 call.
A call made discreetly by a victim trapped in a car by suspect Ricky Buchanan in the midst of a dispute.
They could hear an active disturbance, so they started dispatching officers to that area.
Officers quickly converged on the parking lot of the Rocky Mountain Community Church, and then things happened fast.
As soon as the first officer pulled into the parking lot, the suspect in that vehicle fled that parking lot.
It's all caught on a BPD officer's dash cam that police couldn't release, but MTN has viewed. Buchanan fled through grass and trees, turning east onto Broadwater and accelerating at high speeds. The officer witnessed his reckless driving and turned around to try and keep him in sight, unsure of if the victim was still trapped in the vehicle.
Because of the nature of the call, we had an obligation to at least continue to try to figure out what was going on.
That officer's attempt to stay close was short-lived. Before he knew it, a cloud of dust and smoke was ahead in the distance.
The suspect had already entered into the intersection there at 24th and Broadwater and struck the other vehicles.
That crash happening just 8 minutes after the initial 911 call. And while there wasn't enough time for this to escalate into a pursuit, Lennox says that it was a serious enough situation for officers to follow.
It could have developed into something on our end as far as a pursuit goes. It just, in this instance, it just developed faster than then that determination could be made.
A disaster that all happened quickly, leaving both Billings police and the community grieving.
But we never like to see an instance where a complete innocent individual is caught in the middle of somebody else's decision to commit violence or commit crime. There are no words to express the sympathy we have.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Former President Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail just days after a second assassination attempt. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans block a bill that would have made accessibility to IVF treatments easier. Maritza Georgiou has more in tonight's Political Wrap.
With just 48 days to go until the election, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump stumped with voters in hotly contested states. Vice President Kamala Harris traveled to Pennsylvania, where she sat for an interview with reporters from the National Association of Black Journalists.
I'm working to earn the vote, not assuming I'm going to have it because I am black.
Her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, swung through Georgia in the morning, 2 weeks after a school shooting in that state made headlines.
Gun violence has got to end.
Later, Walz spoke at a campaign rally in North Carolina. That state has historically been a Republican stronghold, but Democrats are hoping to flip it this November. Trump took part in a town hall in Flint, Michigan, hosted by his former White House press secretary turned Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
It's a dangerous business, however, being president. It's a little bit dangerous. It's, they think race car driving is dangerous. No.
And at another rally in the Great Lakes state, Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, had a warning for any would-be assassins in the wake of a second apparent attempt on Trump's life.
I'd like to see an assassin try to come in this room. They come to the wrong place if you try to walk into this place right now.
Maritza Georgiou, Scripps News.
Billings Public Schools cut the ribbon on one of its 3 new charter schools tonight, the Billings Multilingual Academy at the Lincoln Center. The Multilingual Academy is located on the 4th floor of the Lincoln Center. It's a first-of-its-kind type of school in Montana, where middle schoolers and high schoolers receive instruction in their native language while also learning English at the same time. There are currently 40 students enrolled who speak at least 6 different languages. Lismar Bracho is from Venezuela.
Project started from a dream that people from different parts of the world can make their dreams come true. This project is very entertaining and funny to be in because you can get to know more people and you can make new friends. You learn new things every day and all of the teachers are very nice.
When you put kids in middle and high school age in the regular middle and high school with no linguistic support, the challenge is that most kids will drop out, and that's something that is not a good thing for our community when you have.
The Academy also provides a space where students and their families can come together to explore community resources. The Rimrock rivalry between Rocky and MSU Billings took center stage on the volleyball court tonight, but tonight's contest was all about the kids. MSUB hosted Kids Night, and it was all for a great cause. Between sets 2 and 3, the Yellow Jackets cheer squad counted down with all of their fans throwing their stuffed animals onto the court. Those stuffed animals will now be handed out by the volleyball team to patients in the pediatrics unit at St. Vincent's Hospital.
It was an idea from our volleyball team, honestly. They kind of wanted to try something new, try to spark the interest of the community and our students and kind of, go to a cause that's really important to us. In a couple of weeks, our volleyball team will head down to the hospital and donate them to the pediatric floor at St. Vincent's. So it's going to help all the kids that are sick on the pediatric floor.
All fans who brought a stuffed animal to the game received $2 off their ticket. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, construction begins as controversy continues over a Mormon temple in Cody, Wyoming. We'll have more on that coming up, and a championship pedigree. The Billings Senior Broncs are on a redemption tour of sorts on the volleyball court. Scott will explain in just a bit.